Okay, so it's rolling. Um, Hi, everyone. I'm here with Jen DeBree. Jen is a part of Victoria CRC, and this is another what I'm calling COVID conversation. We won't just talk about COVID-19, but we will talk about that a little bit. But the basic idea that I had when this virus took over and we were told we couldn't basically gather anymore as a church or in groups bigger than, I don't know what it is now, 10 or 15. I was thinking of ways that our church kids still feel connected or just get to know each other better. So I thought about it might be fun to record conversations with people and then share them. And so I asked Jen if she'd be willing to do that with me, and she said yes, so here we are. Now, Jen, you gave me this, we were talking earlier, and you gave me a long title to your job and your work right now. I was wondering if you could say that again, because I'd like to hear it again.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm an executive administrative assistant to the Coast Area Assistant Deputy Minister with the Ministry of Forest Lands, Natural Resource Operations, and Rural Development. They like their long titles in government.
What I loved is that's exactly, you used exactly the same language. Like that could have been a repeat of what you told me maybe like 5 minutes ago. And so it makes me think you have to say it quite a lot.
Yes. Well, I've been in the role for probably almost 10 years.
Okay. I was kind of thinking too, what it would be funny if there was an acronym for your job. It would be like so many letters.
Yes.
Fine. It would be hard to understand the meaning. But anyway, I thought people might want to know what your day job is, and how is I guess I have two questions related to, it can be related to work but also just related to life in general. What has the last 3 weeks been like for you? Like what has COVID-19, how has it disrupted life as usual for Jen?
Well, it's definitely an interesting time. It's a totally different world that we live in. What I've had to do was just connect with God every day and make sure that I'm on His strong foundation and looking out for how He's at work in this situation. I've been able to keep a good mindset about things. There's been a couple times that I feel unsettled and I've had to work a little bit harder to ground myself.
Mm-hmm.
So every morning I spend some time in the prayer, and throughout the day I think about different verses from God's Word just to keep me strengthened and encouraged. But on most days I feel that I have a great comfort that God is all around us and He's with us in this situation. And His word says that He will never leave us nor forsake us. So I just think it's important to rely on His strong foundation, to trust Him completely. He's sovereign. He's taking care of everything. The things that I pray for on a daily basis is that I would be more aware of His love and presence and how He's at work in my life, around me, in the community, in the world.
Mm.
And that He would help me see and approach things from His His perspective.
That's great.
And that I would be mindful of Him throughout my day, that
Mm-hmm.
I would be a blessing to other people, that I would have a closer, deeper, stronger relationship with Him,
Mm-hmm.
that I would always trust in Him and stand on His strong foundation through every circumstance and situation.
Mm.
and that I would always be thankful, and that I praise him.
Mm-hmm. So that seems like kind of what you just shared there was almost like your vision, not vision, but your vision and your practice for these are the things I'm doing to stay centered in God and in the midst of this like disruptive time. And I'm still kind of maybe I'm kind of wondering what has changed for Jen that was like, a month ago we were able to just sort of go about our days without thinking much about sickness or spreading the virus. Like, I'm wondering what has changed in Jen's life over the last 3 weeks. What do you notice about what's different for you that that you're just like, oh, this is different. I have to do this now.
Well, there's definitely losses of freedom to go places, to do things, to
Mm-hmm.
have personal face-to-face connection with people. Those are the three big things that
Mm-hmm.
I've lost through this process.
Mm-hmm. What
But
about work? Are you working from home?
no, I'm able to drive into work and then work at the office. There's no one in my section, so I have good social distance.
Mm.
So I'm able to have that outlet during the week to get out of the house every day.
Mm.
So I'm thankful for that. If that wasn't the case, it would probably drive me nuts.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So you have like an office or a cubicle that's like set apart where you don't have to like, it's not like a crowded office space.
Well, usually it would be. So we're in little in one main space, and each of us has a desk. So it's a shared space, but no one's there right now. So I can have good
Mm-hmm.
social distance, which is good.
So you're there, but everyone else is at home. Is that kind of what's happening?
Yes,
Okay. And that's a choice you make to go in, or is that something you have to do?
it's a choice. I
Okay.
always have the option to work from home.
Okay. I know that we're departing from the script here a little bit, Jen. I sent Jen some questions beforehand, but what is there anyone else like you in government right now who's just like, no, it's safe for me to work in the office and I'm going to go there? Like, how many other people are working from their office?
So there's no one in my section on my floor, but there is another section on the floor that may have like 3 or 4 people.
Mm.
So it's very rare that I see more than 3 people a day.
Wow. So you have this probably a fairly big building that used to be buzzing with people is now
Yeah,
just ghost town.
yeah.
Mm. You mentioned some of the losses. So loss of kind of that face to face and freedom. Um, what are you feeling most acutely? Like what loss is hardest for you right now?
Definitely the face-to-face connection with people, the ability to see them, give them a hug,
Mm-hmm.
be able to go out and do things with them.
Mm-hmm. So what are you and Anton just kind of hang around the house at night sort of thing?
Well, both of us have some projects on the way. So Anton's actually working on a greenhouse outside of our dining room window on the deck.
Mm.
And of course, I'm going through training to be a life coach.
Mm.
So that keeps me fairly busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's a whole nother wing. I guess you have your day job and then your this coach's training. I think
Yes.
I might hold on to that because it'd be fun to hear more about that. Um, what So we talked a little bit about the losses. Is there anything that about this disruption with the virus that you're like, oh, I'm actually kind of thankful for this change, right? Is there something happening that you're kind of just glad about?
It's interesting to see people's humanity coming out.
Mm.
Just seeing how people are coming together and working together and supporting each other and providing for each other, and seeing how people put other people in front of themselves. I think about all the frontline workers, and I see um, like uh, different levels of government, or even the provincial government. There's a lot of politics in there, a lot of different sides and arguments, and it's just they're coming together to make sure that they put guidelines or rules to benefit everyone, and to create like benefit packages. And it really encourages me to see how people are coming out and supporting people, like the hearts that children are making and putting in their windows.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some motivational pieces, like videos on the internet as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a motivational speaker that was saying, we can't control the situation, but we can control ourselves and our response and what we do in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
which is putting the power back in ourselves.
Right.
And it's also kind of neat to see everyone at 7 o'clock making noise to honor those who are on the front line.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah. I actually haven't heard too much. Is it ringing of bells? Like, is that what happens at 7?
Pots and pans.
Pots and pans.
And
I haven't heard it too much in my neighborhood. But I have seen some of the videos online of, and you're right, it has been very inspiring to see people. I mean, I'm sure, and for some people, cowardice is coming out, and they're kind of looking for ways to get out. But for many people, what we're seeing is bravery and courage to kind of engage this, and it's so inspiring. But neat to hear too from the political perspective, like that. I mean, I'm sure that politics is still at play in all this, but to see people, to have the noise of the argument kind of quiet down, and see like the bigger, people working together on the bigger picture for this moment.
mm-hmm.
And that must be a welcome change at work. I mean, yeah, I'm sure some of the stuff that you hear or see happening on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all sides of the house are coming together to help out.
Yeah, awesome. So we've talked about some losses, some things that you're thankful for. What's your, and I guess you talked about this right at the beginning a little bit, but what do you find what's your hope in this time, and what do you find yourself praying for in this time?
Definitely for like COVID-19 to be totally eradicated and the people who have it to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people who haven't been compliant with social distancing, that their hearts and minds would be changed so they could be compliant.
Mm.
People's mental health. I mean, this type of situation's got to affect most people's mental health.
Yeah.
The crisis, the self-isolation, some people quarantine, like it's really affecting people. So just for God to protect those individuals from depression, from suicide, from really dark places. that he would put his light and his joy and his hope in those people.
Mm-hmm.
And those are big things. Um, I pray that all Christians would come to have a closer, deeper, stronger relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
and that non-Christians would come to know to God, or come to know and follow and serve God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also that somehow God would be honored and glorified in this,
Mm-hmm.
however that may be, and that his will be done. Although we don't understand a lot of things of what's happening and how is it work, and a lot of people have tough questions about it, I think it's important to remember that, God is sovereign, he's perfect, he's taking care of everything, and something will come about by his work.
Yeah. What your last point there, it was interesting. I actually had a conversation earlier today with a couple other retired pastors in our church, and that was the main focus of our conversation, was just thinking theologically. So trying to make sense of what we know of God and who he is, his sovereignty, his providence, his work in the world, and then this disruption and and the virus and the damage it's doing to the economy and to just people's health, and so we spent a good hour talking about that, and I'm kind of curious, how do you make sense of all this? What I heard you say is there's a lot of mystery there, or there's we don't understand how this all works out, but these are the things we can trust. We can trust that he's not let go of the world. He still holds it, and is working in it. And then you talked also about like him receiving somehow the honor and the glory through this trial. But is there anything else that you'd like to say, or any other things you've been thinking about with respect to God's hand in this, or God's what do you God's what do you think God is up to throughout this time?
I think I think he may be using this opportunity to show us something or teach us something. This crisis is definitely testing and refining us. So maybe it's the point of slowing us down so we could think and reflect on our lives, on the community, on the world, what's going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of divisive issues. There's a lot of consumerism. And maybe it's just, slow down, reflect, think about things in your life, in the world, in the community. And decide what's really important and how you should be doing things differently, and maybe how you should live out your life differently.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of a shakeup, right? Which what I've noticed about myself, and may be true of other people too. I won't go from say it's true for me, therefore it's true for everybody. But what I've noticed about myself is that I tend to get into a pattern, or like a way of life, that becomes fairly routine, and there's things that I like things that I like about it, and things that I don't like about it, but it's kind of, I'm stuck with it. Like, I mean, I could work really hard to get out of those patterns, but it's almost like it's a well-worn path, like I'm walking down a well-worn path. But what happens when like a crisis hits, and then it forces you to like, well, I can't keep going down the path like I used to be able to. So there's this, in the disruption, there's also the opportunity to think about, well, what path am I walking on? Is it the right path? Is it taking me where I feel like I'm supposed to go, or is it taking me somewhere else? Is there something that needs to be adjusted or changed so that my life is a better reflection of, for me as a Christian, who God is making me, and am I becoming more Christ-like? So there's something about disruption that forces change. You're forced to think through some of those big questions, and you can't just keep living life normally. And like you, I kind of see this as an there's some opportunities here for rethinking some of those big questions in life. Of course, it's also very tragic, and both of us, our lives haven't been, to my knowledge, no one at this point has died from this or anything. And so it's more just the crisis that is out there. It's at like arm's reach, but still, nonetheless, it's changed things for us too.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me reflect on, I'm so thankful for so many things. Like, I'm thankful for my health, the health of my family. I'm thankful for technology, to be able to connect with people virtually. That's an exciting new way of connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And time that gives you to reflect on, for me, reflecting on my relationship with God, who God is, how he's shaping and molding me, how my reflect on my life and how I'm becoming stronger in him. And it also gives me time to work towards that goal, which I feel that God put on my heart to do, is, I mentioned before, it's being that life coach for people.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about your journey there. I think I know some of it, but not all of it. So life coaching, what I understand of it is it's coming alongside someone else and helping them clarify goals and vision and a pathway forward, but not doing that for them, but just sort of being someone who can listen well and perhaps offer a little bit of accountability. But you know more about this than I do now. But tell us a little bit about where this came from and what it's been like to get equipped in this area.
So I have been a person who has always looked for my purpose, and I didn't see the value in myself, the value that I could bring to another person. And I was waiting for an epiphany from God, which I didn't get. I went to, as many of you know, I went to Africa. My husband and I went to Africa. I was hoping for an epiphany and I didn't get it. And then I came back and I felt God say, slow down and spend time with me, which led me into faith walking, which gave me like a foundation and a stronger relationship with God. And then I thought about becoming a coach in faith walking, but that didn't work out, but I was still interested in being a coach. And a coworker of mine brought this, it's called Coaching Out of the Box, a program to me, which I thought was an excellent idea. So I'm almost finished the program. And my vision is coaching people individually, and to let people know that each person has a value, a purpose, a niche in life. They don't need to compare themselves to others. They can take ownership of who they are and be proud of that. And coaching is basically partnering with the person to work towards their goals, things that they want to do, and realize and maximize their personal and professional potential. And I just want to be that person to help that person get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. So you spoke at the beginning of that just about the a little bit of angst around purpose, like, what am I doing here, God? What do you have for me? And feeling a lot of uh, un unease about that. And so we began searching and didn't get any epiphanies, but found some sort of clarity with faith walking, or at least it helped you feel closer to God. And out of that, I'm just repeating what you said, out of that came this coaching. Oh, this could be a pathway for me. Do you feel like now that, do you still think about that purpose question? Do you feel like coaching is going to be kind of a key piece to you coming to your own sense of purpose? Or do you feel like the whole desire for a really clear view of purpose has kind of been changed somehow, so you don't think about that as much? Do you know what I mean?
I think definitely um, coaching is definitely a purpose for me. Like, it's something that um, I know a little bit about. I have personal experience of not feeling value or purpose. And I think just helping another person realize and accept who they are and be strong in that, take ownership of that, see all the opportunities and possibilities that they have before them, and to encourage them in that direction, to strengthen themselves, to stretch out of their comfort zone, to really become a fuller, better version of themselves, and for them to stand proud in that. And I definitely see God's direction in this. Like, I've had little confirmations along the way that I'm taking the right path, and he's preparing the way ahead of me, which is exciting. It's like, I didn't get my epiphany, but I have been getting messages from him, like, slow down and spend time with me. I am in this with you. And it's just, he's taking me on this path, and I just have to follow him in it and trust in his timing and not my own.
Right. So he hasn't given you the a big lightning or light bulb moment, but there's been like little flickers along the way, like, oh, here I am, keep walking, keep coming, slow down, walk with me. And now that there seems to be some confirmation with your coaching, that, like, wow, like this feels right, this feels good. I was able to be to offer value to someone else who's like starting to put things together. Yeah, that's super exciting. I feel like it'd be another whole conversation to have, maybe sometime in the future, about coaching and discipleship, and how those things might be tied together. But Jen will never say this. This is, if anyone's going to be watching this, but I've met with Jen a couple times now in a coaching sort of connection there, and it's been fun to just have you listen and to share like all the things I'm thinking about, and then to have you ask helpful questions back. And that sets me on another rabbit trails of journaling and writing. And so I've experienced some of the value of having a coach in the past, but now also with you for a couple months now. So that's been fun.
Likewise.
Am I allowed to reveal that I guess I am. That's my,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So, well, is there anything else you have on your mind, or anything else you'd like to talk about tonight?
Um, I don't think anything comes to my mind.
Okay.
Anything for you?
No, I feel like I got a good picture of what's going on in Jen's world right now, and it's been a real delight to talk and yeah, hear what you're thinking about. So thanks for sharing.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and I did record this, and I let you know beforehand. But is it okay if I were to share this online?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, have a good rest of your night. Say hi to Anton for me, and
Yeah.
we'll be in touch, hopefully in person sometime soon.
All right. Sounds great. Give my best to your family.
Okay, you bet.
All right. Bye-bye.